Hey Birchouse friends, welcome back. So this week's question was a comment question. It comes from our friend Andrew, and he asks, hey Birchouse, what is the hardest timeline, the hardest era to replicate from when you're replicating Arms and Armor? And that's a great question. I don't think that there really is one era or timeline that's any harder than any other. We look at museum collections and we reach out to museum curators. And so we look at the artifacts that are available and base all of our work on that. And naturally, the farther you go back in history, the fewer artifacts you're going to have to work from. There are far more available M1 Garands from World War II, for instance, than there are Viking shields. But I don't think I have any timeline that, or era or period of history that is harder than any other to replicate from. But there is a culture that I think is harder, and that is Asian culture, specifically Japan. And that's because there are a lot of arms and armor from that region that have dubious historical importance and whether or not they actually were used in warfare, used in combat. Things like kanabo or tetsubo, kasaragama, nunchaku, and I could go on. It's not that they don't exist, but rather that there isn't a lot of evidence to suggest. There's not a lot of first-hand accounts or primary sources that show them being used in a warfare setting. And so that can get tough to suss out. I don't mind making things like the kanabo that might not have existed in a warfare context. I don't mind doing that, but when we want to make sure that when we say, oh, this thing was used, that we've done our research, we've done the work. And so that can be tough to find those primary sources to back up what we say when we say that when we're presenting information. So it's not necessarily harder to make those things in so much as to have proof that they were used in the context that we say they were being used in. And if we don't have those primary sources, we do our due diligence and we say, we say, when I sell a kanabo, I tell people, this is it's a cool weapon. It has a lot of, it's an iconic weapon, but it may not have been used in the context of warfare. And that's something you should know when you're buying it. So that was a great question. Thank you so much for asking. If you ever have a question for Birchouse, comment below with "Hey Birchouse, ask," and we'll answer it in a future video. And before we go, because I didn't get a comment question last week, we get the draw from the basket. And this is from our giveaway questions. And this one comes from Philip Peck. So we will answer this question next week. In the meantime, we'll see you all next Wednesday.